Yes, so we are starting formally. So good morning, one and all. I, Dr. Shalini Gautam, Associate Professor DME, would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you. The basic purpose of this webinar is to facilitate children like you to take the informed decision regarding their career. We all know that, in the past, our parents used to force us to take medicine and engineering. But right now, there are n number of career options which the children has. They can become the successful lawyers, to a media person, to a budding manager. All the career options are open. Keeping this in mind, today in this webinar, we are going to talk about the various options that a student would have when he opts for Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, which is an A-grade state university. Before we start, I would like to personally welcome Mr. Amitabh Nihar, Manager, Nihar Mira National Senior Secondary School. Sir is a versatile lawyer with over 25 years of experience in various roles with law firms, investment banks, and financial service companies in India and UAE. I would also like to welcome Professor Dr. Ravikant Swami, sir, Director, DME. He has over 24 years of experience in teaching and administration and holds a PhD degree from University of Rajasthan, Jaipur. Before sir starts with his presentation about IP University, I would like to request Mr. Nihar to say a few words. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everybody. I welcome you all in this counseling session. This is our second counseling session in the series of counseling which we are planning to have for our students. This time we have some students who are not from our institute, and our aim is that students of Aligarh should get information about what are the career options available before them, and not just career options, but logistically also there are a lot of universities like IP Universities, which is a government university, and its colleges which are hardly 100-120 kilometers away from Aligarh. They are offering a lot of courses, very interesting courses, very exciting courses, and students, especially of class 9th, they should start exploring about the available opportunity. It is about knowing what they want to do in their career. And of course, class 11th and class 12th students, I'm sure that they are very, very serious about what they want to do in life. But this is an opportunity for class 9th and 10th students also to start exploring. Now, without talking much, I would request Dr. Ravikant to please give a brief about today's session. And sir, all yours.
So I'll start by sharing my screen. The audience, it's Monday morning, and for us, Monday mornings are little busy because it's the in stock exchange, Niharji knows, we call it the Monday effect. So as soon as the college opens, we have little work pressure, but I think it's the right time to hold this webinar as well. Of course, this is the picture of IP University. But before we go ahead, at the outset, students, what does this picture tell you? Like, as we say that a picture speaks more than 1,000 words. So what is this picture telling you, students? So I can tell you what is happening is, the moment a student comes to 9th class, this is the situation. ये सिचुएशन सबके साथ आ जाती है. क्या सिचुएशन? इधर जाना है, उधर जाना है, this, that, right? So the moment a kid enters 9th class, the kid enters this kind of situation. And here comes the need for counseling, for which we are here today, right? So counseling is required because while you are into this kind of situation, there you need someone who can tell you that, okay, this is the way where you can go. Rather, I should tell you that like, you should not be guided by anyone who is judgmental. If someone says do this, this is good for you. I think this is something which should not be done. I'll tell you why. Because our job as counselors is to tell you the pros and cons, the advantages and disadvantages, the merits and demerits of going on any particular path. Say, for example, in 11th, if you choose bio or mathematics or commerce or humanities or even vocational studies, then our job as counselors, like people like me who are into this counseling since the last 25 years, probably when you were not even born. So we are into counseling since 1996, and our job is not to tell you that do this or do that or follow this path. Rather, our job is to tell you that if you take this way, these are the advantages, disadvantages, these are the scopes. If you take that way, this is the scope, right? So this is the job of a counselor, rather than telling you कि ये आपके लिए अच्छा है, ये आपके लिए बुरा है. It's not like that, right? So we will be telling you in today's session as well. We'll be telling you about the pros and cons, the advantages and disadvantages of choosing any path or choosing any course, right? Well, today I will be not talking about how to choose a subject after 10th. Rather, in today's presentation, the focus is on how to choose a professional course after 12th class. And since I am representing IP University here in front of you, I would be talking about my university. Of course, during the discussion, I would be talking about other options as well. Okay, so we start like this. Have you ever pictured yourself like this? कभी इस तरह से सोचा है आपने कि 2028 में आप क्या होंगे, कहां पे होंगे, 2034 में कहां होंगे, 2035 में कहां होंगे? क्या आपने कभी, have you ever imagined yourself in such a situation? I think you should start doing it right today, because that will give you the clear picture of what to do, what not to do, which subject to choose, which professional course to choose. If you picture yourself like this, then only you can have a clear idea about what to do. Like people come to me, students come to me and say that, oh, I want to pursue a law course. Why? Because my father is an advocate. Then I tell them, please don't think like this. If your father is an advocate, does not mean that you should go for a law course. Yes, of course, that is a criteria to some extent, but then picture yourself like this. हम 2040 में कहाँ होंगे, 2030 में कहाँ होंगे? अपने आप को कुछ सोचिए, तो your mind will be clear that which option you should choose. Okay. Coming to today's presentation, will not take much time. I know बच्चों आपको लंबे presentations बिल्कुल अच्छे नहीं लगते. So therefore, this will be a brief presentation. In the coming 25 minutes, I am going to talk with you regarding 5 things. वो 5 चीजें क्या-क्या हैं जो मैं डिस्कस करूंगा? About IP University, yes. Then courses क्या-क्या है वहां पे? Then the admission process, the fee structures, and the career scope after these professional courses. Okay, so let us start with the first thing about IP University. So universities are of 4 kinds, right? One, the central universities like Aligarh Muslim University, like Jamia, like JNU, like University of Delhi. These are the central universities funded by the central government. Then the second category is the state government universities. So IP University is a university, rather it is the first university to be established by the government of Delhi. It was established in 1998, soon after Delhi became a partial state, right? Now, there are around 875 universities in our country. I'm not talking about engineering colleges or those. There are 875 universities, and these universities include what? Central universities, state government universities, private universities, and deemed universities. So out of these 875, what is the ranking of IP University? Let us see. The ranking is 95th. What does this mean? How do I interpret this? The point is very simple, that IPU stands among the top 10% universities in this country, right? Now in Delhi, there are two major universities. One is the University of Delhi, again having 90 plus colleges, and the second is IP University, again having 90 plus colleges. Now these two universities do not compete with each other, rather they are complementary to each other. Complementary in what sense? That University of Delhi runs academic courses while IPU runs professional courses, right? I repeat, University of Delhi runs academic courses while IPU runs professional courses. So in a while, I'm going to tell you what is the difference between an academic course and an professional course. So coming to the rank of IP University, it stands among the top 10% universities in this country. And NIRF is a government organization, National Institutional Ranking Framework, which provides the rankings, because rankings may be provided by magazines like India Today or Frontline, or there are so many magazines. They also provide rankings, but then the rankings given by NIRF are given by the government itself and therefore are considered to be very genuine, most authentic. So what does NIRF say? NIRF says that IPU stands among the top 10% universities in this country. Okay. Coming to engineering, the rank is even better. NIRF says that the IP universities engineering courses, they rank among the top 86 courses in India. Now, when I talk about engineering, there may be 1500 or 1600 engineering colleges in this country, but the colleges under IPU, out of 15 or 1600, they are ranked among the top 86, which means they are among the top 5% slot. Coming to business management courses like BBA, MBA, etc. Again, IPU has got a very good rank. Yes, this is another body which ranks or which grades the universities. Obviously, IPU has got a NAC A grade. And then there is a question of international recognition of degrees. Say, for example, you do BBA from India and you want to do MBA from America, right? In that case, international recognition, international equivalence is required. So if a university is member of AIU, Association of Indian Universities, then and only then its courses are internationally recognized. If a university is member of AIU, what does it mean? It means that if you do graduation from this university, then you can you can reach out to any foreign university for a post-graduation course. Your degree will be recognized throughout the world. Okay. Well, IPU has got around 95 colleges which are located in Delhi and NCR. What is NCR? National Capital Region. It means the districts which are surrounding Delhi. So these districts include Gurugram, Gautam Budh Nagar, Ghaziabad, Faridabad. In all these districts, IPU has got its colleges. So IPU has got around 95 colleges which are spread in Delhi and NCR, which means they are in Gautam Budh Nagar, Ghaziabad, Faridabad, Gurugram, etc. Okay. How many courses are there in IPU? Yes, in the second part of today's presentation, we are going to talk about the courses. There are around 80 courses, but my dear students, I am going to talk only about the major courses, right? And how many students are there in IPU? 80,000, which makes it a university of international standing. 80,000 students is a big number when we think in terms of international standards. So that's the first part of the presentation in which I have told you about what is IPU. Before we move ahead, I would like to tell you the difference between an academic course and a professional course. Say, for example, BA Psychology Honors, BA Sociology Honors, BA Political Science Honors, BA History Honors. What are these courses? These are academic courses which I have mentioned on the right-hand side of this table. Now, academic courses provide you what? Knowledge and knowledge and knowledge. Gyan ka bhandar, right? Academic courses are gyan ka bhandar, but then a professional course gives you knowledge and how to apply that knowledge, and then the attitude part also. Therefore, the professional course trains you for a job, for a specific job, while an academic course does not train you for a specific job. Say, for example, BBA LLB or BA LLB, it is preparing you for becoming an advocate. BHMCT is preparing you for becoming an hotel management professional. While BA History Honors or Eco Honors or BCom Honors, they are not preparing you for any specific profession. So that's the difference between an academic course and a professional course. Now the question is, which courses are in demand, academic courses or professional courses? So my dear students, professional courses are in demand, and there is a reason for that. What is the reason? The reason is simple. What happened after 1991? The country went through LPG, liberalization, privatization, and globalization. As a result of LPG, what happened? The government sector shrinked. Government sector chota hota chala gaya, and the private sector expanded. You have already witnessed how the private sector is expanded, and the private sector does not need people with academic courses. They need people who are ready to work. They need people who have done professional courses. So with that, I make you understand that the demand for professional courses is much more as compared to the demand for academic courses. Now, my first part of presentation was regarding IP University. एक छोटा सा part रह गया है regarding IP University that is interesting for you. What is that? Generally, people ask, who are the notable alumni of IP University? Notable alumni means people like you who are going to study with IPU, and tomorrow they are going to become very popular. So who are those people who studied at IPU and have become popular? You know these people. Yes, आप जानते हैं इन लोगों को. Okay. So you know Tapsi Pannu. Who does not know Tapsi Pannu? Everyone is a fan. I am also a fan of Tapsi Pannu. Niharji also is a big fan of Tapsi Pannu. Amitabh Niharji. So the point is that she did her BTech Computer Science from an IPU college in 2009. Another popular novelist, he did his journalism from IPU. You know this person also. He is deputy leader of Congress in the Lok Sabha. He's a member of parliament. He did his BTech electronics from IPU. And then Guneet Monga. Yes, everyone has watched Gangs of Wasipur. So who produced that? Gangs of Wasipur was produced by none other than Guneet Monga. So there are many, many other celebrities which studied at IPU like you, and then they become popular. They became popular. Now come to the second part of the presentation. Which courses are run by IPU? Now, while we talk about courses, I need to tell you that like this is the general question which comes from the students, that what is the requirement in terms of subjects if I want to do a particular course? So there are two kinds of courses, two kinds of professional courses. One which do not have any subject specific requirement. Second, which have a subject specific requirement. So in this slide, I am talking about courses which do not have any subject specific requirement. Means what? Means that these are stream neutral courses. आपने कुछ भी लिया हो 12th में, biology, maths, arts, commerce, vocational, anything, you are eligible for these courses. Yes, the basic eligibility remains that आपके 12th में 50% होने चाहिए, right? Yes, for engineering, the eligibility is 45% as mentioned by AICT, but for other courses, it is 50% in 12th. So for courses like BALLB, BBLLB, Bachelor of Arts, Journalism and Mass Communication, BBA, BHMCT, You don't need to have any stream, or you can be from any stream in your 12th class. You may be a commerce student, a vocational studies student, anyone can do these courses, and these courses welcome students from each and every stream. So therefore, what do we call them? Stream neutral courses. Now among them, these 5-year courses are very popular. 5-year courses means what? Integrated courses. In 5 years you get 2 degrees which otherwise you would have got in 6 years, right? So integrated course means a 6-year degree, like degree 1 plus degree 2. It takes 3 plus 3, 6 years. But in these integrated courses, instead of 6, it is 5 years only. So in 5 years, you get 2 degrees, BBA and LLB. In 5 years, you get 2 degrees, BA and LLB. So that is the significance of these courses. Coming to other courses at IPU, having talked about the stream neutral courses, well, for mathematics students, Bachelor of Technology is a very popular course at IPU. I'll talk about the scope of this as well. And then Bachelor of Architecture is also there with IPU. For the biology students, Bachelor of Pharmacy, Bachelor of Nursing. Then there are other courses also like MBBS, obviously there in IPU. Then there are courses on yoga also, on naturopathy also, which have become little popular these days, right? So that's about the second part of the presentation. Ki IPU mein what are the kya courses available hai. And mind it, all these are professional courses. IPU is not for academic courses. It is for professional courses. If you want to do any academic course, go to University of Delhi or some other college. Now, the admission process. The admission process is very simple. 15th July is the last date. Today is what? Today is 12th July. So a few more days to go, 3 more days to go. You can simply click this link, which will be provided to you in the chat box, and register yourself. For those who are in 12th class, you can register yourself on this link, submit a fee of 1200 rupees, and you are registered for IPU. Along with that, the best thing which has been done due to COVID is that you can simply visit IPU college and they can finalize your admission on the spot. Mind it, this is a special provision due to COVID. You just visit the college, but in that case also, registration at IPU remains a necessary condition, right? This is one part. Now, second part, IPU again has got 2 types of courses. Number 1, for which IPU conducts its own entrance exam, and second, for which IPU goes by the national level entrance exams. What does this mean? This means that, say for example, for engineering, there's a national level exam called JEE, right? So you have to appear for that exam, and the scores of that JEE will be considered for admission to engineering at IPU. You need not appear in any other exam, only JEE is sufficient. Of course, you have to register for IPU. Similarly, we have NATA, which you are required to appear for if you are interested in an architecture course. For law courses, you are required to appear at CLAT, which is a national level exam. So for engineering, law and architecture, IPU does not conduct its own exam. So you need to appear for the national level exam. But then there are other courses like BBA, like journalism, like hotel management. For these, IPU conducts its own exam, right? So to conclude this slide, register yourself. 15th is the last date. Today is 12th only. 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th. 4 days are in your hand. If you are interested in any IPU course, register yourself for IPU. And then the best way is you visit your nearby college. There are colleges in Gautam Budh Nagar, etc. So you visit your nearby, there are colleges in Greater Noida also. You visit the colleges and they can give you admission. So that's about the admission process. This link will be shared with you through the chat box. Oh, what is this? What is this, my dear students? Yes, this is an important part. The fee structure. Yes, because in Delhi NCR region, there are so many private universities, colleges. It's like a hub of education. But then the fee structures are quite different. There may be a college, means I can't name any colleges, but there are colleges which are charging very high fee because they are like chamakdar. Okay. But as far as the government university is concerned, it is not chamakdar, but then the substance is there, right? The content is there. So because IPU is a university by Delhi government, the fee structure is very reasonable. Say for a law course, the fee is simply 80,000 per year. For engineering, it may be 95,000. For hotel management, it may be 1,10,000. So the fee structure, annual fee structure, Salana fee structure for any course at IPU ranges between 80,000 and 1,10,000. Yes, I need to tell you this because it is your parents' hard-earned money. Okay. Since it's a government university, there are no hidden charges. It is not possible that today you take admission and tomorrow a college tells you that, okay, pay additional amount for industrial visit or for picnic or for placements, nothing doing. This fee structure, what I'm mentioning here is the full and final fee structure, no additional charges. Yes, in the beginning, there may be something like security. So 5,000 security is something else. You get that back. So I'm not talking about that, but the annual charges are in this range only. So that's about the Rupiah Paisa, right? Now, scholarships, yes, Delhi government is the best government in our country when it comes to awarding scholarships. The two popular kinds of scholarships are there. One is for economically weaker sections. Yes, this is for those with an annual income, say what we call BPL, below poverty line. But then Delhi government is giving scholarships to everyone. Everyone means what? Everyone who has got 60% in aggregate. Say while you take admission in BLLB and in first year you get 60% and no reappear, then in that case, you are definitely going to get a scholarship. And what will be that scholarship? If you are a ration card holder, then in that case, the scholarship will be 100% of tuition fee. Delhi government, right? If your annual family income is less than 2.5 lakhs, your tuition fee scholarship will be 50%. Means 80,000, 40,000 the government will pay. And if your annual income is less than 6 lakhs, between 2.5 and 6, still you are getting a scholarship. So when I say annual family income is 6 lakhs, it means 50,000 rupees mahina, right? So 50,000 per month is a good amount in which, so I believe, means almost many families are covered in the third category. So 25% of tuition fee in any case, Delhi government is going to give to you. So that's about the scholarships. My dear students, I must add here that Delhi is the richest government in our country in terms of per capita income. So the students who study in any Delhi government university or college, they get this advantage of generous scholarships. Now we have come to the last part of the presentation. And in this, I am going to talk about the career scope, about the professional courses, which we have discussed just now. The first one is BA-LLB integrated, BB-LLB integrated. These are the law courses. And when I talk about law, there are 4 career options in law. Number 1, litigation. You may start your own practice. Number 2, you can join a law firm. Number 3, you can join government jobs. And while we talk about government jobs, judiciary is at the top, right? So you can become a magistrate. People like you only become magistrates. They don't come from moon. So third is you can become a magistrate. And fourth, an important option for law students is politics. Why do I say so? I am saying so because you look around the world. Everywhere you find that people with law degrees, they have done wonderfully well in politics. I'll give you some examples. Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Patel, What was common in all of them? All three of them were law graduates. Go to America. Barack Obama, the Tamil Nadu lady Kamala Harris, who is the Vice President of USA. So what is common between Barack Obama and Kamala Harris? Same thing. Both of them are law graduates. So I believe the fourth option for law graduates is politics. They are doing wonderfully well in politics. So to conclude about law, four options. You can start your own practice. You can join a law firm. You can go for a government job like judiciary, or you can join politics. And there's a reason why law graduates succeed in politics, because it helps. The law degree helps in all walks of life. Coming to Bachelor of Arts in Journalism and Mass Comm, my dear students, all of you are fond of Netflix, Sony Live, Amazon, Hotstar, Disney Hotstar. So who is producing these things? वो चीजें आ कहां से रही है? Journalism and mass communication are preparing those things for you and presenting it for you to watch, right? So this is the scope of journalism. Earlier, the scope was say only the movies and the theaters and the programs like IFA Awards and Oscar Awards. But now with OTT, over the top means what? This screen is everything. You can find everything on this mobile screen. We call it OTT. And while you watch anything on OTT, who is preparing that? A person who is trained in journalism and mass communication, right? Coming to the placement scope of BBA, well, managers are required everywhere. And there are traditional areas of placement for BBA, and there are the new and upcoming areas. So while talking about the traditional areas, these are marketing, finance, and HR. So a BBA or a manager can become a marketing manager or a finance manager or a HR manager. And then there are the new upcoming or sectoral areas like retail management, like aviation management, like pharma management. These are the upcoming areas. So the scope of BBA is wherever you need a manager, you need a BBA or an MBA, right? Coming to hotel management and catering technology, yes, there is a question here. You may be thinking that the hotel and tourism industry is devastated. Ye industry khatam ho gayi hai. Is that the opinion? Yes, it is the opinion. But here is a catch. What is the catch? The catch is that today, due to COVID, hotel and tourism industry is facing a downfall. But is it going to remain down forever? Is it possible? No. Why? Because we are social animals. We need to go out. We need recreation. And there are so many types of tourism in our country. We have religious tourism, we have excursions, and someone told me there is something like revenge tourism. Badla nikalne ke liye tourism. What is this? So someone told me that revenge tourism is a new term which has come up, Nihar sir. It is a new term which has come up, and it means that people who are locked in their houses since the last 16 months, they want to take a kind of revenge and they want to go out and enjoy. So this is another term which has come. So the point is what? The point is that the hotel management and tourism industry is facing a low point as on date because of COVID. But then recreation is something without which we can't have a fresh mind. So it's going to come up, and those who are going to take admission in 2021 or 22 or 23, when they are going to graduate after 4 years, and then after 4 years, obviously, the hotel management and tourism industry is going to be great. Okay. Now, talking about the scope of engineering. Students, it's a very interesting story how the engineering branches keep on changing. How do they change? So soon after independence, we found that civil engineering was at the top. Then what happened? Electrical. And then came mechanical. Then electronics. And then came the king of all, computer science. Yes. So these engineering streams are pattern based. What happens? Initially civil, then electrical, mechanical. But what is happening today? Today, I can tell you students, civil is not doing well because of demonetization and because of COVID and all that. Electrical is not doing well. Mechanical again has taken a beating due to COVID. So which is doing well? The soft branches of engineering. You can divide engineering into two parts. The hard branch means the field jobs, and the soft branches means the office jobs. So civil, mechanical, electrical are the hard branches. You need to go out into the field and complete a project. While electronics and computer science are soft branches, you can do it on your screen. Yes, in the post-COVID era, digitization is going to come up in our country and throughout the world in a big way. And who's going to lead that? कौन लेके आएगा वो digitization का revolution? The computer science engineers. This is the scope of BTech computer science. My dear friends, I'll not talk about the scope of BTech civil or electrical or mechanical, because I agree that there is a problem of jobs in these areas. But coming to computer science and electronics, yes, the soft branches, lot of scope is there, right? Bachelor of Architecture, I do agree that presently it is facing bad times, but then it's a 5-year course. By the time you will be completing it, there will be good demand for architects as well. And there are reasons for that. What are the reasons? First is that in a heavily populated country like India, you know, my dear students, India has got 18% of the world population. दुनिया की 18% population India में, which means 1/6 population resides in India. What does that mean? It simply means that there is a unending need of housing in our country. And if there is an unending need of housing, architects are required. Of course, I know as on date, there is an oversupply in terms of housing. Therefore, for the coming few years, yes, the demand for housing will be subdued. There is another area where architects can work, can find a great scope of placement, and that is infrastructure. Bridges, roads, railroads. In Delhi, we have a very popular signature bridge. So who is building these? We need architects, right? Then there is Yamuna Expressway, jiski wajah se it's very easy to go from Delhi to Aligarh. So Yamuna Expressway, again, there were some architects who planned that. So that's the scope of architecture. The last part, the biology courses, B Pharma, yes, in the post-COVID era, I am sure the governments are going to invest money in terms of medicines and researches. So the scope of pharma also seems to be quite reasonable. What about nursing? Yes, this is again a good area. And I find that internationally, the nurses, and when I say nurse, it doesn't mean female nurse. Nurse is a term which is used for males and females both. Please mind it. Nurse is not a term which is a female term. Nurse means that there can be a male nurse also, right? Although we call it compounder. But then nursing is an area which, again, the nurses from India, male or female, they have an international reputation. So that's about the biology courses. ये क्वेश्चन आ रहा है आपके सबके माइंड में? This is the question which is coming to the mind of each one of you, right? Now, how do I answer this question? As I told you in the beginning, it is wrong on my part to be judgmental. If any counselor tells you, ye karo, wo karo, I don't agree with that. Rather, we should tell you that if you do this, these are the placements. These are the areas where you can get a job. If you do this, then these are the areas. And we should tell you the merits and demerits, the advantages and disadvantages of doing these courses. And we should tell you about the scope, rather than behaving like a baba, that, okay, ye karo to kripa wahan pe ruki hui hai, right? Not like that. I can't be like that. I am a counselor. I am not a baba. So I'll not say, ye karo acha rahega, or do this will be good, right? My answer to this question is, which course is best for you? The answer is, my dear students, see this diagram. This diagram shows you, see the left, there are less people. See the right, there are lesser people. In the middle, majority of the people are there. This diagram tells you that in any given course on this earth, 25% of people are very successful. The right hand side, 25% people are not successful. And then the majority, the 50%, are successful. They are reasonably successful. They do well in their careers. They are happy in their lives. So this is what happens, whichever course you may do, right? Whichever option you choose, 25% people, they do not succeed. 25%, they succeed very well. And then 50% majority, they are successful. So this is my answer to the question, which course is best for me? No one can tell you which course is best for you. You may go for any course. In each course, you find such a distribution. Coming to the last slide of today's presentation. Can anyone give you a formula for success? Yes, you can get the formula for success from two places. One is God, second is you yourself. Yes, so the formula of success is like this. My dear students, whichever course you do, if you acquire the right set of knowledge, the right set of skills, means how to apply that, and if you have the corporate ready attitude, jobs are waiting for you. This entire world is waiting for you. Thank you, my dear students. Thanks for being patient listeners. Now we can take questions and answers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. Dear students, the chat has been enabled. You can ask your questions. You can type in your questions to the chat. It will come to us, the host, and we can ask the questions from the sir. So please ask your questions. You can type them in the chat box. Right, sir. So here we are getting the first question as, are there any hostel facilities available for the students who are coming from outside?
Again, you will say that for every answer I am saying there are two ways. Yes, there are two options available. One is the hostels in the colleges, and second are the PG systems, right? So the PGs are also there, which are also quite reasonable. So both the options are there. Colleges have hostels, and the PG structures are also very popular in the Delhi NCR region. Both the options are there. And yes, I should also tell you about the price. When we talk about price, I think the annual rent, including food, means boarding plus lodging, of a non-AC room will be around 55 to 60,000 per year. And for an AC room, maybe 75,000 per year, right? This is boarding plus lodging. Yes.
Fine. One of the students, Muskan, you have raised your hand. I'm not sure if it is by mistake or you want to ask a question. It is better if you can just type your question in the chat box, Bache. Please type your question in the chat box, beta, Muskan, and please lower your hand. Right. Okay, so the next question which we are getting is that are there any COVID specific scholarships also available with the IB University?
Yes, students, COVID is something which is like a third world war. Some people initially said that the third world war will be bio warfare, and it came true, right? And now people are saying that the fourth world war will be a cyber warfare. So, and then as Albert Einstein said, the fifth world war will be fought with stones. इतने हम पीछे चले जाएंगे कि पत्थरों से लड़ाई करेंगे. Okay, so COVID scholarships are available from both the sides. The university, the Delhi government has recently put up a notice that students whose earning family members have suffered with COVID, or they have lost their members who were the earning members, scholarships are being provided by the Delhi government. This is one. Second, colleges also have got such scholarships. So yes, help is there. You need to give proof that you are needy, you have suffered due to COVID. Of course, proofs are required. It's not that I go and say that I am suffering from COVID, so give me a scholarship. It's not like that. We need all the evidences, right? So if evidences are there, scholarships, COVID scholarships are there.
Okay, fine. So the other question is that are there any reservation policies?
Well, IPU is a Delhi government university, and therefore 27% reservation for OBCs, for SCs, for ST, for ex-servicemen, for physically handicapped. Yes, for all the categories, due reservations are available. What I suggest to the students is that in case you want to know more about IPU, the best thing is simply visit a IPU college along with your parents, and they'll tell you everything. So that's the best way, because the questions are so many. The best way is you find a day, maybe Saturday or Sunday, you visit a college with your parents. Like Aligarh is close to the IPU colleges. There are IPU colleges in Noida, Greater Noida. Aligarh is quite close. So you can visit the college on Saturdays, Sundays, and you can know all the details. Yes, reservations are there for all the categories.
There another question from Arna. She's asking, can I take admission without appearing in JEE?
Not at all. JEE remains the mandatory condition. But my dear student, do you know that JEE is being held 4 times this year due to COVID? So you still have a chance to appear for JEE. You fill the JEE form today, you appear for that. So out of 4, 2 times JEE has already been held, and another 2 times it is going to be held. So you apply for JEE, plus apply this register for IPU, and you can easily get admission in BTech. Not a problem. So to conclude this answer, without JEE, without CLAT, without NATA, without CET, no admission in IPU. IPU is very strict, and that is why it has got its own image.
So it's another question from an enthusiastic student, Karnika. She's asking, we have to register in class 11th or in 12th for admissions?
Well, in class 12th.
Yes.
So
Right.
I'm thankful to this Nihar Mira International School that they are taking some proactive steps, and they have organized this session for classes 9th to 12th, because today you are in 11th, tomorrow you will be in 12th. So it's a proactive step from the side of Nihar Mira International School that they have asked us to counsel students from 9th to 12th. Yes, Shalini.
Yes, sir. Sir, another question is, are there the traditional courses which are available in IP University, degree
No.
courses?
No,
Yeah.
IPU is, as I said, University of Delhi is known for traditional or academic courses. IPU is known for professional courses. So IPU has got, when I say professional courses, engineering, architecture, BBA LLB, BA LLB, BBA, BJMC, hotel management, these professional courses. And as I told you, in the post-liberalized, globalized, privatized era, the government sector is shrinking and the private sector is expanding. So the need of the hour is professionally trained persons. The academic courses people can do, but they don't get jobs. That is the problem. Because the structure of this economy has changed after 1990.
Sir, another question from Khushi is that how many marks do we need to score in JEE to get the admission in any of the institutes in IP University?
Yeah. So there is no such criteria of marks, because you must understand the difference between percentage and percentile. Percentage is what you secure and is in absolute terms, while percentile is in relative terms. What do I mean? This simply means that even out of 100, if you score -10, like there is negative marking, you may score -10, still your rank may be good. How is it possible? Because say, for example, the paper is very tough. Your score is -10, but there are 10,000 students who have got -11, -12, like that. So your rank may be good, even if your score is 0 or negative. This is the beauty of percentile system, which means in all the competitive exams, CLAT, JEE, etc., your score is in relative terms, not in absolute terms. It is in percentile, not in percentage. The rank is given in terms of percentile. So there is no such criteria that you need to get A amount of score in JEE or CLAT or NATA. Whatever score you have, you are going to have some rank, and that rank may be good.
Right. Sir, another question is, what is the average package and maximum package in BTech CS?
Oh, so that's a very difficult question to answer, in the sense that package depends on the student, not on the company. I'll give you a typical example. TCS visited my daughter's college, right? TCS visited my daughter's college twice. Once it visited for with a package of 12 lakhs per annum. Second time it visited with a package offer of 4 lakh per annum. What does this mean? It simply means that a company may offer you package depending on your knowledge, skills, and attitude, not depending on the college or university, right? Of course, we need to take admission in a university, in a college, which can impart us knowledge, which can provide us skills, and which can give us the corporate ready attitude. So it depends on your knowledge, skills, and attitude, the kind of package you get. I have given you examples like Amazon visits IPU colleges, like all the big companies, they do visit IPU colleges. But the package which they offer, the range differs. Well, talking about the highest package, you can see Taapsee Pannu's package. Huh? Because
another question is engineering aerospace branch, is it there? Engineering in aerospace?
Not yet. Because and I think it will not be there in the coming 2-3 years as well. Because one thing is that aviation sector will take little time in the post-COVID era to regain the status which it was having earlier. That is one. Another thing is that aerospace presently, it's an advanced branch, so IPU does not have this.
Okay, another question. Ritik is asking how to do MBBS in IPU.
NEET. The answer is NEET. You appear for NEET and you then participate in the IPU counseling. If your scores are there, you are in for MBBS.
Khush is asking, again, you have discussed about percentile and percent system. So there is this question from Khush Lodi. He's asking, if I score 20 marks in JEE, can I get admission in IPU?
100%. Yeah.
Right.
I'll tell you the reason for that. Because with 20 marks in JEE, your rank may be good. If the paper is tough, your rank will be good. If the paper is easy, your rank may not be good. So this is what we mean by percentile. It is in relative terms, my dear friend. So even with 20 marks, the answer is 100%. Yes, you can get.
Right. Okay. Okay, there is a compliment for you. The student is saying, "Dil jeet liya sir aapne." So students are writing the compliments on the chat box. So students, I don't have any further question in my chat box. Do you want to ask any other question? Any other question anyone else has, or we can conclude the session? It's already been 1 hour. I think there are no other questions in the chat. Students, the presentation itself was very exhaustive. So I think we can conclude the session. So thank you so much, sir, for this exhaustive session. I would also like to share a few numbers with all of you students. Let me share the numbers. In case you have any problem or any questions, further questions on the IPU admission process and all, you can directly call the admission counselors. Let me share the numbers with you. The numbers are, just give me a minute. 935490325 and the other number is 70426 67951. So you can call on any of these numbers in case you are facing any problems as far as your admission process, registration process is concerned, specifically for the students who are in 12th standard. And for them, the date is 15 July, just 4 days. So in case you are facing any problem in online registration or anything, you can give the call directly to the admission counselors. right? So with this, we come to the end of the session. Thank you so much, sir, for the exhaustive presentation. And I think the students have really enjoyed it. I would also like to thank Amitabh, sir. Without your support and without your perseverance, this session would not have been possible. Thank you so much, sir, for supporting and for curating this session. And last but not the least, I would also like to thank all the students who are present in this session and who have taken their time out to listen to us. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you.